Hi everyone, welcome to this new video. Today I wanted to show you my build, the one that I started using initially when I first started playing Stadium. For all of you perhaps new, especially considering that this season, and yes, it's only for this season, next season it will change and be a different hero, you're actually able to get an exclusive Mercy skin simply by reaching all stars in Stadium. I'm gonna make two assumptions. Number one is that you know how Mercy works, okay? As a hero, how you play her, yada yada. Second, you have a bare minimum understanding of how Stadium works, for the fact that you can make your own build, you can sell items, buy items, and all of that. This video and this build is meant specifically for people who want to start with Mercy, but you don't want to make your own build yet. It is overwhelming, I understand it, and you just need something that can be like a safe and solid, you know, the foundation of what in the future will be your actual build. You should not use this in the long term, at least, as just a recipe that you follow, but you should actually get to a point where not only you actually understand how builds work, but you can put your hands in your build and change it depending on context. Last thing is that this build is also on the website Stadium Builds. You don't need an account, you can see it on both the mobile and web version. You just need the link and it's right in the description. So if you want to use that as reference while you're playing the games, instead of obviously having to recheck this video every time. Starting off with the powers, the very first one I feel like non-debatable, Threads of Fate. This is kind of like pretty much is like the perk. It chains to the previous target for 3 seconds, so you need to remember that. Obviously keep the beam on the primary one that you're interested in, but it's really helpful, like just switching between the two helps. Obviously the second person you're latched to, you heal or damage boost them less, so specifically 50% effectiveness. This is really good, just like the perk itself. I mean, there's a reason why almost every single Mercy, whether it's the first or third round, they end up getting it. I would say though, grab it the first round because it's really good. For the items, 2 out of 3 are optional, meaning just buy something that you kinda like within that cost range. The first one, I like to get weapon lifesteal. You can also get damage if you want. I've seen people also get speed. I don't super like it, but in general it's better for you to have something related to your weapon because it really helps with you being a little more independent, being able to save yourself a little bit more with those couple of beams. The second one heals you slightly faster while you're sitting on the objective. Obviously, if you are being targeted, this is not gonna do miracles, but if you are getting a couple beams here and there, this helps healing up much faster, and you can switch this out for anything that's similar, again, within the specific range. I personally really like it. At the same time, I will point it out immediately, this is normally the first one that I sell, simply because the other two, in my opinion, are way more impactful in the long term. And then the third one, which a lot of builds have just in general for most of supports, which is 25 armor. Pretty simple. It's expensive because it's really good. From the second round, as we already said, it depends a lot on earnings. Rule of thumb, I would say if you have only 8k, at least at the start when you're still trying out this build, I would say go for long distance wings, which simply gives you more ability power, whatever, but what we're interested in is the extra perk, I guess, which is 33% Guardian Angel range, which is really helpful. And then I really like the Junker, whatever it's called, which is the 25% starting ultimate charge. It really helps, especially if you're doing good. By all means, you don't have to buy this one, you can just go for something else, and I will give you like some extra items at the very end. I'll give you like items that are contextual, but I did end up using in some occasions, so they are good alternatives if you don't like some of this. However, if you do have 10k, or if you are already used to playing Stadium, to playing Mercy in Stadium a little bit more, you feel a little more confident, get the Chain Evoker is really good. First off, it gives you armor, and you might be thinking, oh, shouldn't I want to sell the 25 armor that I already had? Sure, you can do that. However, I do like my Mercy just a little bulkier, especially at the start when I don't have the round 3 ability yet. get to the second ability yet. Not only gives us armor, but it gives us 5% damage boost, extra damage boost, and 15% ultimate charge from the damage boost. This is really helpful. That's why I said, like, if it's going really good, if you're confident in your team. Round 3, we now get our new power, and I really suggest getting Crepuscular Circle, which most of the time I just call it the Valkyrie ability. This is so good. While Valkyrie is active, you basically both damage boost and heal boost automatically. I see it so much. Like, whenever I'm able to fully diff the opposite Mercy, one of the biggest things is exactly that they buy this because probably they see it on builds online, but they don't know that you're literally automatically boosting damage and healing at the same time, everyone in the range. You don't need to use your stuff, you switch to your gun. And you might be thinking, hey, what if I'm not that good? Should I use this to chase enemies? This is really good, and it's extremely powerful when you're going for a more aggressive Mercy with damage. But even if you're not the best with aim, even if you're not the best during Valkyrie doing anything cool, still you have the possibility to heal and damage boost every single person in your team within range. Worst case scenario, you're still doing so much as a support. At this point, you can sell all of the green items that you still have if you want. It depends on the earnings, as we said already. You should have by now the Chain Evoker and the other 2 previous ones. Now, if you have more money, I do like the Caduceus X. Now, this one, not a lot of people like it. It gives you 10% weapon power, which is whatever. If you end up using it or not, it's irrelevant if you are going more aggressive or not. Why I built it is the 33% range for your stuff. If you're not fully convinced by this one, you can also go for one of these 2. You can pick whatever. Either the Resurrection one, which gives you cooldown reduction, which is always nice, 10%, and the reason why people pick it though is 75% of resurrection range. So if your team is struggling more, you end up finding yourself resurrecting more, or on the opposite, like, they always end up kind of camping, if you want to call it that, the resurrect. This way you have a longer range to work with. Or blast boosters, which I do end up even now using way more in building most of the times. It gives you 50 health, and your launch velocity is increased by 25% when you use one of her movements, so the jump or the crouch. Then we have round 4. I would say that at this point your build should be kind of already a work in progress, so you don't really need to add anything to it. But if you're adding to it, you know, maybe you're starting to sell some stuff, etc. Angelic Acrobatics, because it gives you movement speed during Guardian Angel, and the cooldown starts a little earlier, which is when you jump or crouch. Round 5 is when we get our 3rd power. Now, really quick about the powers, because at this point we're pretty much ending them, and I would say that the build is pretty much complete. So the powers, the 2 that I suggest you as you're starting are Triage Unit as the 3rd one. When you use Guardian Angel flying to someone who is below 50% life, your stuff heals them 30% more for 3 seconds, which if you move around a lot, or even if you're like, if you died or you're still far away from another teammate who's really low health, this is really good. And then the 4th one, the last one that you would get around 7 if you happen to get there, is Glass Extra Full, which lets you convert extra heals that you would do. So when you're healing someone who's already full health, that gets converted in over health up to 50, and this over health does stay, obviously, as long as they don't take damage. You can pick them pretty much in any order you prefer. I don't think there's anything, you know, it's contextual. Generically speaking, both are good either way. And so your final build should look something kind of like this that you're currently seeing on screen. Now to the actual extra things, the extra powers and items that you could get. So power wise, honestly, you can just pick whatever you want, okay? I'm no one to judge, and you can make your own build just in case someone is watching this just to get ideas, but you already have a build that you normally do. That's okay, you know, everyone is different, and that's okay. Now, powers that I think are actually helpful, distortion is really good. That's one of the ones that I currently build, which gives people 25% lifesteal, the person who's attached to your staff. Protective beam is also nice because if they have less than 80%, they gain 10% in damage reduction, so it's also easier for you to actually be able to heal them and them not immediately losing that health that you just help them recover. First responder, when you resurrect someone, both you and the rest the person get 250 over health for 60 seconds. That's really nice, and I can imagine a bunch of good occasions where that would come in a clutch when you're contesting. I've also seen people getting the ambulance whenever your guardian angel ends, so when you finally get to the person, you heal them for, like the number 4 4 multiplied per each meter that you traveled while flying. So it's an alternative to the triage, but at that point I would personally still go for a triage unit. And exactly because I don't like it but I see it a lot, I'm just gonna give you like my 2 cents super quick on Renaissance, because I do see that a lot. So after you res someone, you activate Valkyrie for 5 seconds, which is nice. If you are to build that, 100% put it after Crepuscular Circle, because otherwise it's just useless. It just makes yourself even more easily targetable. Generically speaking, I've rarely seen that actually have any sort of utility. Like there was never a situation where the opposite mercy used it, or even my mercy, but the opposite mercy used it and I was just like, oh yeah, the fact that they got that power definitely, you know, influenced the game. No, it really didn't. Generically speaking, some items you might be looking at, especially as we said earlier, maybe you have extra money, not enough to buy whatever next item you want or should buy, but you have just enough to be able to afford something else extra. You might be interested in something like Cushion the Padding under the survival section, which gives you 25 shields minus 40 for the duration of the effects, negative effects, for example Anna's sleep. And when you are under those effects, it increases your health regeneration and makes it faster. Ironclad Exhaust Ports is also nice. It gives you 5% cooldown reduction, and then when you use an ability you gain 25 over health for 3 seconds. And then two that I used to buy a lot, both of them. Now I would say I would probably buy just one of them. One is Aerodynamic Feathers. It gives you 25 health, but the main reason why you would buy it would be for the ability itself, the perk. While affected by Angelic Descent, you continuously gain 10% movement speed up to 60. The second one is Angelizer. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. Again, 25 health, and then while affected by Angelic Descent or Guardian Angel, you heal 3% of your life every 1 second. This actually is the one that I do still tend to look at and potentially buy every now and then. The speed one, I don't really like it. Personally speaking, I don't like it a lot. So another one can be Biolite Overflow under the ability section. You get 5% ability power, and then when you use your ult, you grant nearby allies 65 over health for 3 seconds. And as for weapon, I would say generically speaking, if I had to pick just one, Mid-Air Mobilizer. This is one that I do get every now and then. While airborne, you gain 5 weapon power and 10% attack speed. This is nice. Another one can also be Advanced Nanobiotics, so 5% weapon power, which is always nice. And then after healing an ally, you gain 10% attack speed for 3 seconds, which does not, sound crazy, but it's still pretty solid, pretty good. Obviously, as I said, I'm looking at the rare ones simply because we are considering this as extra items while we get to our final build. This is not like, if you want to do damage, you need obviously to be doing a completely different build. So with all of that said, hope I helped you out. Once again, the link if you're interested in this build is in the description. Unfortunately, there's like no spaces, so I couldn't add these extra items in any way that would make sense, so whatever. Let me know if this video was helpful. If you end up using it, let me know how you find it. If you make some changes, let me know what changes. Like this video if I helped you out, because it does help me, and I hopefully will see you in the next one. Bye!